Hey everybody, Spooky Marshmallow here, and today I am here to talk about a person that I recently found out that I am a descendant of through Ancestry.com. Came as a total surprise when I got a phone call from my cousin, and she's like, "Hey, we're related to this person, and I'm about to take a trip to Salem to learn more about this person." And so I was in total shock and jealousy because I want to go to Salem. That's on my bucket list. So anyway, let's get to it. So if you've read the title of this video, you already know who it is. John Proctor. Yes, I am a descendant of John Proctor. A very distant descendant, of course, but still a descendant nonetheless, which explains a lot of things. But in case you don't know who that is, let me tell you about him. He was born October 9th, 1632, and he passed away August 19th, 1692. He was a landowner in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. He was the son of John Proctor Sr. and Martha Harper. John and his third wife were tried on August 5th, 1692. He was hanged on August 19th in Salem Village, Massachusetts, during the Salem witch trials after being falsely accused and convicted of witchcraft. John was born in Suffolk, England, where he was just 3 years old, and his parents brought their family to America. They sailed from London, England on April the 12th, 1635 on a ship called the Susan and Ellen. Proctor was a good businessman, comfortable working with people from all levels of society. Around 1653, Proctor married Martha. They had 4 children: John, Martha, Mary, and Benjamin. Martha died in childbirth on June 13th, 1659. Benjamin Proctor was the only surviving child from his marriage. On December the 1st, 1662, Proctor married Elizabeth Thorndike, daughter of John Thorndike, founder of Ipswich, Massachusetts. They had 7 children. Now, Benjamin was the only remaining son from his first marriage. And so now he's had 7 more children. So that brings him to 8 children by this time. Elizabeth was their name, 2 Marthas, Mary, John, another Mary, and Thorndike. Now, why in the world, I still can't figure that one out. Why do the kids have the same names? Like, I can't figure that. Maybe that was something they did back then. I don't really know. It's weird. In 1666, Proctor moved to Salem and leased a 700-acre estate called Groton Farm, also known as Downing Farm, in Salem Farms, the section of Salem Township just to the south of Salem Village. In 1668, Proctor received his first license to operate a tavern there, and the license was renewed annually. The inn was located on Ipswich Road, about a mile south of the Salem Village line. Elizabeth Thorndike Proctor died on August the 30th, 1672, shortly after she gave birth to their 7th child, Thorndike. Proctor's father also died in 1672, and he inherited 1/3 of the estate in Ipswich. His brothers, Benjamin and Joseph, inherited the other 2/3 of the estate. On April the 1st, 1674, Proctor married Elizabeth Bassett, and they had 7 children: William, Sarah, Samuel, Alicia, Abigail, Joseph, and John. Elizabeth and some of the older children ran the tavern, while Proctor and his eldest son, Benjamin, tended to their extensive farm properties in Salem and Ipswich. If customers in the tavern had insufficient funds, Elizabeth insisted that they pay with goods. When the trials started, initial accusations were aimed at Elizabeth, his wife. When he began to defend her and vocally express his disbelief in the accusers, fingers were then pointed at him as well, which that was a common thing when all this started. Although Abigail Williams was John Proctor's chief accuser, he was also named by Mary Walcott, who stated he tried to choke her, and by his former servant Mary Warren on April the 21st. Warren told magistrates that Proctor had beaten her for putting up a prayer bill before forcing her to touch the devil's book. Further allegations of an increasingly salacious nature followed. Proctor continued to challenge the veracity of spectral evidence and the validity of the court of Oyer and Terminer, which led to a petition signed by 32 neighbors in his favor. The signatories stated that Proctor had lived a Christian life in his family and was ever ready to help such as they stood in need. The Proctors were tried on August the 5th, 1692, found guilty, and sentenced to death by hanging. While Proctor and his wife were still in jail, the sheriff seized all of their household belongings. The cattle were sold cheaply, slaughtered, or shipped to the West Indies. The beer barrels at the tavern were emptied. Their children were left with no means of support. Proctor was hanged on August 19, 1692. Elizabeth, who was then pregnant, was given a reprieve until she gave birth, which came after the trials ended. In January of 1693, while still in jail, Elizabeth gave birth to a son whom she named John. Elizabeth and her son remained in jail until May of 1693, when a general release freed all of those prisoners who remained jailed. Unfortunately, even though the general belief was that innocent people had been wrongly convicted, Elizabeth had been convicted and was considered guilty. In the eyes of the law, she was considered a dead woman and could not claim any of her husband's estate. Elizabeth petitioned the court for a reversal of attainder to restore her legal rights. No action was taken for 7 years. In June of 1696, Elizabeth filed an appeal to contest her husband's will. She testified in court that in that sad time of darkness before my said husband was executed, it is evident somebody had contrived a will and brought it to him to sign, wherein his whole estate is disposed of, she said. The will had already been probated and assets distributed, and she stated that her stepchildren, quote, will not suffer me to have 1 penny of the estate, neither upon the account of my husband's contract with me before marriage, nor yet upon the account of the dower which, as I humbly conceive, doth belong or ought to belong to me by law, or they say that I am dead in the law, unquote. On September 22nd, 1696, Elizabeth remarried to Daniel Richards. On April the 19th of 1697, the probate court ordered Elizabeth's stepchildren to return to her the dowry, as she was now restored to benefit of law. On March the 2nd, 1703, 21 spouses and children of those condemned, as well as 3 women who were convicted but not executed, including Elizabeth, filed petitions before any action was taken on Elizabeth's appeal for reversal of attainder. They requested that something may be publicly done to take off infamy from the names. 2 more petitions were filed in June of 1703. These included requests from 11 ministers to reconsider the convictions and restore the good names of the citizens. The Massachusetts House of Representatives finally passed a bill disallowing spectral evidence. However, they only gave a reversal of attainder only for those who had filed petitions. Thorndyke Proctor purchased the Groton farm from the Downing family of London, England, following the hanging of his father. The farm was renamed Downing Farm, and Thorndyke subsequently sold nearly half of Downing Farm to his half-brother Benjamin. 8 generations of Proctors resided on the Downing Farm until 1851. So let's talk about The Crucible. The Crucible is a play by Arthur Miller. It came out in 1953. It's a fictionalized version of the trials portrayed as a theatrical type of play. John Proctor is cast as the main character, whose story is centered around his powerful and unrivaled position in the society and consequential wrongfully convicted fate. However, the storyline of the play diverges from its actual history in numerous ways, including Proctor is portrayed as being in his 30s and Abigail Williams is 17 years old, while the real John Proctor and Abigail Williams were about 60 and 11 or 12 years old, respectively, at the time of the witch trials. Proctor is revealed to have had an affair with Abigail Williams, but he has a hatred to Reverend Samuel Parris because he is entirely materialistic. He hates him so much he does not attend church for many months. When they are discovered, Elizabeth Proctor discharges Abigail from the Proctor household, and as a result, Abigail accuses Elizabeth of witchcraft as retaliation, as well to get her out of the picture so she and John can further pursue their relationship. In reality, Elizabeth was initially named by Anne Putnam on March the 6th, alleging that Proctor's specter attacked the girl. She was accused by Abigail on March 14th, and further accusations were made by Mercy Lewis. Miller has Mary Warren accusing Proctor of afflicting her, but this followed his initial accusation by Abigail in early of April 1692. There is no historical evidence to suggest that Abigail even knew John Proctor before she accused him of witchcraft. So there you have it. The Crucible is not based anything on actual events. It's a fictionalized play. But that's John Proctor. That's who he was, and I am a descendant of his, which came as a total shock. I had no idea. But I was pleasantly surprised, very happy. So when my cousin goes to Salem, she picks up a packet that you can get. It's for descendants only. And you go and you pick up the packet of whose ever descendant you are. So she picked up John Proctor's. And since we live states away, she wants to open it the next time we are together, which I hope is really soon. She wants to open that together and all of us take a look at it. So that's going to be very interesting, and I will show you what is inside that packet and fill you in on all the details about that as well. So having said that, I am very excited, and I've been doing a lot of research on John Proctor because I want to know more. But really, all I can find is the same old stuff. But I want to know more. I want to know more than what is just on Wikipedia about John Proctor. So if you know anywhere else that I might be able to find some true information about John Proctor, let me know down in the comments section below. I would greatly appreciate it. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Spooky Marshmallow, and remember, stay spooky, my friends.